Welcome to the channel where we cover the key moments of every episode of NXT. If that's what you're after, you're in the right place. And tonight's NXT was all about the invasion of TNA superstars. So let's take a look at what happened. Tonight's show, it opened up with Ethan Page celebrating him being the new NXT World Champion. But his celebration doesn't last very long. All the other competitors from the Fatal 4-Way match on Sunday, they interrupt and they basically mock him for winning it unfairly, for winning it while being knocked out. But this turns up into a brawl and we get a tag team match for the main event between Javon Evans and Trick Williams and Shawn Spears and Ethan Page. That match, however, gets a huge twist thrown into it because backstage Javon Evans gets attacked by Brooks Jensen. Brooks Jensen was told earlier in the night by Ava that he is not being fired for what he did. He's in fact being given a second chance because some people vouched for him. He said he's gonna make sure that he makes an impact on the show, and he did. He attacked Javon Evans. He's out for the main event. So now Trick Williams needs to find a new partner. Throughout the show, we get teases of who this mystery partner could be. I'll cover that later. But we go back to Ava's office and Josh Briggs is the one that vouched for Brooks Jensen, and he's very upset with Brooks Jensen. He's upset because he vouched for Brooks Jensen, but now Brooks Jensen is just throwing that in his face and ruining this opportunity. However, we get told that if Javon is healthy next week, he will face Brooks Jensen, and that's a match we get next week, which I am very excited for. In the main event, we get the reveal of who is Trick Williams' partner, and it is Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is back in NXT, and he teams up with Trick Williams, possibly the two biggest baby faces in wrestling outside of the WWE main roster, teaming together. It's a big moment. And they end up winning the match. During the match, Oro Mensah attacks Ethan Page without the referee looking. This leaves Shawn Spears vulnerable, and Joe Hendry and Trick Williams pick up the victory. A huge moment. I don't know where this is leading to. I don't know if Joe Hendry is going to stay being in NXT, but I think he should because the crowd loved him, and this was just a really cool moment. I'm glad this TNA relationship is continuing, and they're actually putting a spotlight on these TNA stars. Now, that wasn't the only TNA alliance we saw tonight, because Wes Lee addressed his future in NXT, and he was unsure of what he still needs to do in NXT. He was unsure if he still has a future here, and he was about to say that he wants to leave, but MSK, otherwise known as the Rascals, from TNA, they come and they reunite with Wesley on NXT. This was so cool. I remember watching TNA, or when it was Impact a while back. The Rascals were one of my favorite teams there. And now seeing them united here in NXT is such a cool moment. And they're fighting Callis next week. We're probably going to get a feud between Wesley and Joe Coffey. And I don't know, I don't really want to see Wesley in NXT anymore. I think it is way past this time to go to the main roster. But if we get to see the Rascals in NXT, I think it's fine seeing them a while longer down here. But amongst these returning superstars and these superstars from TNA coming to NXT, we also had a new faction formed on NXT, at least semi-officially. So let's take a look. Carmen Petrovic faces Ariana Grace. They teamed up at Heatwave and won, but tonight they're trying to see who's the better woman, and Carmen Petrovic ends up winning. But JC Jane and Jasmine Inks throughout the match, they came and looked at it. And after Carmen Petrovic won, she gets attacked from behind by Fallon Henley. Fallon Henley rolls outside of the ring and she asks JC Jane and Jasmine Inks, "Aren't you tired of these rookies taking our spots? Because I am." And later tonight, we get the conclusion to this. Fallon Henley faces Soruka, and the match ends in a disqualification because during the match, Soruka was about to win, but JC Jane and Jasmine Inks interfered and they attacked Soruka, and JC Jane, Fallon Henley and Jasmine Inks stand tall as an official new duo. Since we're talking about factions, let's look at my favorite faction on NXT and what's happening with them, that is Chase U. After their loss at Heatwave, they're pretty down, but Ridge Holland comes and he wants to cheer them up, and he tells Thea Hale he got her a match against Izzy Dame, and if she wins, she will get an NXT Women's Championship match. He also tells Duke Hudson that he got him a match against Oma Femi for the North American Championship next week. Duke Hudson does not look very happy about it, and Riley Osborne even tells him that Oma Femi is gonna kill Duke Hudson, but both Ridge Holland and Thea Hale, they encourage everybody to be happy and take the best of this opportunity. Later during the night, Thea Hale ends up defeating Izzy Dame, but Obafemi stands in the crowd and he basically tells Duke Hudson, "I am going to kill you." But Duke Hudson is no longer afraid. He slaps back at Obafemi, he gives him a piece of his mind, and I'm really excited for this match. Drew Cutson really impressed me at Heatwave last Sunday, and I want to see more of him. Since we just talked about JCU, who are my favorite faction in NXT, there is another faction in NXT that has really grown on me, and that is the No Quarter Catch crew. For those of you who are unaware, Damon Kemp recently got released on NXT, and they explained it all very well. He caused Miles Bourne to lose last week, and this week, he essentially gets killed. We know the Mafia in NXT, they like to kill people off, and since Charlie Dempsey is taking inspiration from them for this new gang of his, they essentially kill him off as a way to write off his character in NXT. I also like how they're playing with Miles Bourne being deaf and Charlie Dempsey not knowing that. That is a really fun thing, and I'm just enjoying what you're doing with these factions. Every member is really interesting, has their own unique thing going for them, and I'm so excited to see what they do with this faction because it has so much potential as it is right now. So they put Damon Kemp in the back of a car, and then Ren Sinclair has seen what they have done, and she just says, "I have seen nothing," and she runs away. They just let her go, and they get in the car and drive away. I kind of want to see them force Ren Sinclair being into this group as a way to keep her quiet. That could be cool. I also think it could be something for a character to do, and would add a whole nother dynamic to this group to make it even more interesting. But this segment was short, but it was very entertaining. It stood out for me and was definitely a highlight for the show for me. With that being said, tonight's episode of NXT was very good. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The Heritage Cup Championship match brought it down for me a lot. But if it wasn't for that, this show would be a 10 out of 10. A lot of good surprises, a lot of good development. It was just a fantastic show all around. But that is the end of this episode. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow to 50 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it. Also leave a like and please leave a comment. What did you think of tonight's episode of NXT? Do you agree that it was a very good episode? Because I really think it was. But anyways, thank you for watching and I will see you again next week.